Hello, my name is Oliver Noonan and I'm going to be presenting radicalisation in social media. So the brief that was set to us was a target audience of age 15 to 24. I aim to target 18 to 24 as I could provide more mature topics in this field. For this, I interviewed students from this college, Mob College, in order to get an idea of what sort of content these students are being exposed to in this age bracket. Do we have speed? No. Cool. So this was the final project that I produced. There was a third one there, but that didn't make it past the design stage. This just encapsulates media along with moments of history, if you will. One, 40 years ago, Tiananmen Square, and social media censorship, using AI to censor what happened, and a more modern thing with the MAGA rallies, how social media has been the second biggest influential thing in elections, coming second place to gender. And obviously the assassination attempt in the background there, it's more modern, so parallels. This is a sequence on typography, and this discusses how I use different elements of typography to get across my point in different manners, whether I wanted it to be an eloquent, subtle, handwritten font, or a bold font like Impact, to have the tabloid look about it. And so this goes over my process and how I got to the stage that I did in my final project and what sort of elements I used. So this was an early experiment of double exposure and light exposure. And so this was one of the first drafts for a final poster. This is supposed to encapsulate political extremism, and it goes over how the right and left wing differ, and it's a polar political field. I did discuss it more, but that's not what we're here for. So this was my earliest test for double exposure, and the one on the left is for an experiment and a little sub-project that we did in our A2, which was to create 3 forms of media in which we tried to recreate a famous pop culture element. So I went for an album cover, I did a few more of these, and the other one's just double exposure. This one on the left, sorry, is dual exposure. So this was an early experiment using AI on the right to create a poster. As you can see, this is an example of a failed attempt because, well, she has 2 eyelids, I don't know, and there's multiple other things that don't feel right. It's just, there's something off about it. The other one is a photograph that I took in Manchester, and I added a sepia colour tone to give it a vintage look and feel. This is my subject, and I used BBC techniques to create a Prince Andrew style interview in a similar format. However, I didn't go into the same grilling interview like Emily Matillis or Emma Matillis. Either way. But yeah, I used these techniques to kind of accentuate my skills of filmmaking. This is colour theory, so I went over luminosity, which provides a neon look to images, and the other one is rather banana coloured, but yeah, it goes over in depth colour psychology and how it conveys different emotions, and it's all pop arty really, isn't it? And it's just all about the psychology and how this can link back to protests and stuff, and how images can be powerful if used in the right setting. This is infinity double exposure, so 3 examples here, and you can see they're all vastly different, and it's using the same subject. In the middle one, the same subject is repeated 3 times under different sequences, creating a different look. The first one is exposed to multiple different colours, creating a very pop art feel to it. The last one has been multiplied about 10 times to create an infinity exposure look. And that's it, apparently. But yeah, so all of these things led to my final project, all of these elements, all of these experiments that went into it, as I was supposed to make a documentary. However, all of these things led to my plan B, which I had in place. And so yeah, it may seem a bit rushed, but that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, stay there a minute, Alec. So,
Oh yes, more questions.
really nicely laid out, and text to image, and also like your layout, simple but effective. Nice amount of visuals in there, and not too much text. Good research and knowledge was really evident, and your personal interest in the subject, linked to the historical events, was also really evident. So that was really good. And I like the way that you showed the different experiments, and actually you can see the direct link between all the experiments and how they've informed your final pieces. So that's really good to talk through. And it's nice to see the final things at the beginning, so you can see that, you can see the process that you went through. So where would you put those images so that they get exposure?
So I would use multiple different platforms, as many as possible really. I would probably focus on ones that are towards the arty side of things, because a lot of these take a more arty field. But yeah, I would go for as many as possible really.
And when you were doing your research, did you come across anything that you found quite shocking, or that you'd not expected to find?
So all of the stuff I covered, I had a fundamental foundation of knowledge in the event. However, Tiananmen Square stood out to me as it's a really ongoing case study. It's like, accounts range of the death toll of 20 to over 3,000, and these were all students protesting for political reform, and the Chinese Liberation Army, the CLA, opened fire on them with live rounds, and it's being covered up. When Hong Kong was taken over by China, they recently tore down a statue commemorating the event, and they're using AI now to erase all knowledge and memory of this event. They're trying to erase it from the history, and this is an example of radicalisation in media in a different way. But yeah, that's what stood out to me.